Shortly after I was called as a general authority, I went to Elder Harold B. Lee for counsel. He listened very carefully to my problem and suggested that I see President David O. McKay. President McKay counseled me in the direction that I should go. I was very willing to be obedient, but saw no way possible for me to do as he counseled me to do. I returned to Elder Lee and told him that I saw no way to move in the direction that I was counseled to go. And he said, "The trouble with you is you want to see the end from the beginning." I replied that I would like to see at least a step or two ahead. Then came the lesson of a lifetime. You must learn to walk to the edge of the light, and then a few steps into the darkness. Then the light will appear and show the way before you. He then quoted 18 words from the Book of Mormon. "Dispute not, because ye see not, for ye receive no witness until after the trial of your faith." Those 18 words from Moroni have been like a beacon light to me. Let me put them in their setting. "And it came to pass that Ether did prophesy great and marvelous things unto the people, which they did not believe, because they saw them not. And now I, Moroni, would speak somewhat concerning these things. I would show unto the world that faith is things which are hoped for and not seen. Wherefore, dispute not, because ye see not, for ye receive no witness until after the trial of your faith." That's from the 12th chapter of Ether. During the 29 years following that experience, I've learned over and over and over again that all of us must walk by faith near the edge of the light. Like Nephi, who said, "I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand the things which I should do." Each of us must learn to take a few steps into the darkness of the unknown. Let me share with you something I learned from another man named Lee. S. Norman Lee, once our stake patriarch, then our stake president, and then our stake patriarch in Brigham City. Shortly after we were married, I was invited to speak in a sacrament meeting. Patriarch Lee was seated on the stand. As the meeting closed, he said to me, "That was a fine talk, Brother Packer, but may I point out that the correct pronunciation of this one word is as follows?" To which I replied with some impudence, "Oh, is that so?" Later, I felt very ashamed of myself, and I called Patriarch Lee and apologized. I thanked him for the correction and invited his continued interest. Shortly thereafter, I was called to the Stake High Council, and on fairly frequent occasions, spoke in meetings where Patriarch Lee was in attendance. Always he would compliment me and then add a correction or a suggestion. Always I tried to respond with sufficient appreciation to encourage him to continue his interest. On one occasion, I was seated in the congregation at a priesthood meeting at a stake conference. One of the 12 apostles, Elder Matthew Cowley, was presiding. Without notice, the stake president announced that I would give the opening prayer. I was so startled I could hardly speak, and I gave a very clumsy prayer. As I returned to my seat, Patriarch Lee, who was seated on the aisle, reached out and drew me down beside him. As the meeting proceeded, he whispered to me, "You were frightened, weren't you?" I nodded. "Let me tell you something that will help." Then he gave me some counsel, which was most helpful ever since. I would gladly share it with you, but it was tailored to a personal weakness of mine and might not fit anyone else. Not long thereafter, the principal of the seminary where I was a teacher died in an accident. I was asked to speak at his funeral. Elder Harold B. Lee was the other speaker. The Brigham City Tabernacle was packed to capacity. I was nearly overcome with the thought of speaking to such an audience on the same program with a member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. As I went to the stand, there was my friend to remind me that everything would be all right.